Greetings, family. Welcome to the African Exodus show. I am your host, Tierney Cherie, here to you with a new video. Before I get started, I want to remind you all, if you have not already, please do add yourself to my Telegram channel. Telegram is an independent platform that I use to keep people updated on different videos that I post, so you can follow me there. So today we're going to talk about weather manipulation, exciting topic. So we started off this series first talking about end times deceptions, the idea that the Euphrates, today's Euphrates, not the biblical Euphrates, is drying, therefore the trumpets are about to sound, or we're really at the end of the end, or this is the sign that we saw prophesied inside of Revelations. We debunked that inside of the first segment. Second segment, we talked about scriptural references for actual climate change, what it does mean, and we are experiencing right now. So this is not a fake thing that people act like it is. This is true and actual, and it's happening and we're all experiencing it. But is it from the reason as scientists are telling us it is? I don't believe so, but I gave you some scriptural references to show you that these things were prophesied. Today we're going to talk about, though, the fact that some of these things are not coming from the Most High. Some of these things are coming from man and from the delusions of man. And we're going to talk about weather manipulation. So to give you a understanding of weather manipulation, yes, it's true. People can manipulate the weather. Something I did not think, you see the earth and the clouds, and you don't think that people are doing things to try to exercise control and dominion over the clouds or even over space, as we're going to talk about. It's happening, and you might not know about it, but it's been happening for a long time. I'm going to start off with a scriptural reference because I think this actually gives you an understanding of who we're dealing with when we're talking about weather manipulation, who it is we're dealing with when we're talking about geoengineering. This is Esau. Obadiah 1:1-4. This is what Yahuwah says concerning Edom. We have heard a report from Yahuwah, and a messenger has been sent among the nations, saying, "Arise, and let's go up against her for battle. Behold, I will make you small among the nations. You are greatly despised. The arrogance of your heart has deceived you. The one who lives in the clefts of the rock, on the height of his dwelling place, who says in his heart, who will bring me down to earth? Though you make your home high like the eagle, though you set your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down, declares Yahuwah." So we can speculate on who that is. This is about Edom. Edom is Esau. There's a spiritual thing that's happening right now as far as who is deciding to go into space, who is deciding to be in the stars, who is deciding to manipulate the weather and exercise control over those things they do not have dominion over. This is a spiritual thing that we're encountering, and many of us would be in la la land thinking that these are just scientists or these are just world leaders. This is just Bill Gates doing what Bill Gates does. No, these people are motivated because they understand their legacy instead of trying to control ours. But we're going to talk about Project Bluebeam, okay? So Project Bluebeam is something that we spoke about previously. We should understand that this is an end time so-called conspiracy, although conspiracy is honestly what it is. It's literally different actors conspiring together to bring about a different result other than what we are accustomed to seeing happen. Now, the first step in Project Bluebeam, I'm going to break this down, is to break down all archaeological knowledge in the world, okay? The second step involves the projection of a massive light show into the sky. The third step involves a two-way electronic thought control, which will be used by the Antichrist to gain control over the masses. And the fourth step will involve supernatural manifestations using secret technology. This is Project Bluebeam. There's a lot you should learn about this. To give you an overall synopsis, though, these are the plans that are laid out by Serge Manasse, I believe his name. He's a Canadian journalist. He died in 1996 under mysterious circumstances. And he wrote a book called Project Bluebeam. He said the goal is the replacement of the world's religions with a universal religion in a series of stages. Now, we talked about we're going to talk about the first step in this video, but understand these steps that are laid out together. Serge Manasse said he had very secret government documentation proving that the United Nations and the powers that be were going to start doing these crazy things in order to allow there to be a sentiment among the people where collectively the world would give their authority over to the beast system. And this would have to happen, honestly. Like, even if you think this is a conspiracy that has no backing to it or no proof, understand, in order for everyone to lay down to one singular world government, there would have to be something catastrophic in order to cause it. Something that people think that this is the saving grace, whether it's an AI attack and all this technology starts turning against us. This is something that's talked about in the news, obviously, whether it's an alien attack, a UFO attack, whether it's so many things that could be used to drum up fear, climate change, obviously. We're going to talk about that today. There has to be something so catastrophic in order to lead to a one world government. It doesn't come because people are just like, hey, let's just join together with our enemies. No. So step one of this, obviously, we said, was that it's going to break down all archaeological knowledge in the world. So the way that this step was laid out by Serge Manasse is that it's going to happen from a series of weather events. So you have things like earthquakes, for example, during which the New World Order will fake archaeological finding that will negate the beliefs of most humankind. This step is meant to weaken humanity's faith in their current religions, particularly Christianity and Islam. And you might say, why are those two together? Because these are the greatest, the biggest, most populous religions in the world. Christianity and Islam obviously have their issues with each other, but they do comprise the biggest population. I believe it's like 80% of the world identifies as one or the other. So if you get those two factions to basically submit to one world government, then you will have basically gotten 80% of the way there as far as getting everyone else. So let's talk about the first step. This is an image I'm going to show you right now. Mexico had an earthquake. This uncovered an ancient temple inside of Teotihuacan, if I pronounced that okay. And then an ancient city in Iraq to the right, which that was an earth after an extreme drought. And many of you might remember, you might be hearing about it this summer, all those droughts. So many things were found. Archaeological findings were found. So many things, to the point where some people felt like this is it, you know. And the point of Project Bluebeam, again, is that you have all of these things happening and unveiling at one time, things that make you question your understanding of the world, makes you question your religion, makes you question what you've been taught and told. And this will confuse the masses and lead to a condition that's necessary. Confusion will be necessary in order to enforce obedience to the one world government. But you might ask, Tierney, the government, do they even have power to make an earthquake? Yes, they actually do. To my surprise, when I was doing my initial research of Project Bluebeam, it's very true. So all the way back to 1893, Nikola Tesla created an electromechanical oscillator, a steam-powered electric generator that caused extreme vibrations in structures. Tesla claimed one version of the oscillator caused an earthquake in New York City in 1898, gaining its popular cultural name, Tesla's earthquake machine. Now, after Nikola Tesla died, it's said that the U.S. government essentially seized all of his technology that was highly advanced, obviously, and they were able to supposedly use it in order to amplify it and use it for their own purposes. Now, earthquakes are one thing, but weather obviously is something entirely different, because this is the atmosphere. These are things that you think are beyond man's ability to manipulate. But it's very true. There is weather manipulation that is acknowledged, and obviously there are things that are not acknowledged by the powers that be. So it says, according to the Oxford Geoengineering Program, geoengineering is the term used to describe the manipulation of weather to combat the effects of global warming. So every time you hear the news talking about global warming, the reason why they are painting this hard picture is because their answer to it is weather manipulation. We're going to manipulate the weather to reverse this thing. These methods are generally split into two categories: carbon dioxide removal and solar engineering. Now, of course, geoengineering is said to be for the benefit of humanity. This is how they're able to do these things without most people feeling a type of way. Now, according to space.com, they said, as modern technology advances and and our understanding of meteorological processes grows. Scientists are discovering new ways to control the weather. Instead of succumbing to nature's schedule, projects are in place to make the skies rain, remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and prevent extreme weather events such as hurricanes and flooding. Now, this is the pitch that they're making, and you might think that these things have not been used yet, but it's been used for a long time. So let's give you some examples. Now, you can make it rain with a methodology called cloud seeding. It's a method to make the clouds rain using aircraft, drones, or rockets. Small particles of silver or lead iodine are released into the sky. Because these particles have a similar structure to ice, the water droplets in the clouds, which are too small to fall as rain, surround the crystal iodine, according to Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, as the water and silver iodine combine, ice crystals form. Eventually, the ice crystals become too heavy to remain in the air. As they fall, they melt to become raindrops. Now, cloud seeding has been used for a long time. It was used recently, though. In 2008, China used its weather modification program to control the weather forecast for the Beijing Olympics. Totally reasonable, right? The country carried out cloud seeding in the capital to ensure that the rain fell before events like the opening ceremony rather than during them. The technology has been used, though, for a while. It started being used in 1974, at least that's when we've been told that's the start. That was during the Vietnam War, Operation Popeye, where the U.S. Army used cloud seeding to alter the weather in an effort to prolong the monsoon season in Vietnam, making fighting more difficult for the Viet Cong. Operation Popeye used rain as a weapon to destroy roads and flood rivers. Now, let me play a quick video in case you need an image as far as what cloud seeding is and how it can seriously create different weather.
Now, the most amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you, it's raining. That's unbelievable.
Now, as I mentioned before, there's two main types of geoengineering. One, the removal of carbon dioxide in the air, or the other one is solar engineering. Now, solar engineering, I think, is the goal. That's the one that they really want to go for, because that is, again, manipulating the stars. What did we talk about last week? The fact that the stars, the moons, the sun, everything is changing beyond their control. And it's not changing because of them. Things are changing because of Yah and his timing. But because of that, they have to combat it in a way that is going to try to prolong their reign on Earth or in whatever planet they plan to go to. So social engineering, the social engineering approach that's gained the most attention involves using aircrafts like balloons or planes to release gases or small particles into the atmosphere. They would reflect sunlight, easing the warming. Other potential paths include brightening clouds over the ocean or even launching elaborate sunshades. By the way, this is all theoretical so far, since nobody can really agree whether we should even be studying solar engineering, much less doing it. Well, guess what? Even though it's said to be theoretical, although let me tell you, if they say something is theoretical, doesn't mean that they're not doing it. It means that they're not acknowledging it. This is something, though, that is actively being sought after as far as Bill Gates, everyone's favorite billionaire. So this billionaire, who's a tech giant and somehow qualifies himself on everything else in the world, he is financially backing the development of sun dimming technology that would potentially reflect sun out of Earth's atmosphere, triggering, it says, a global cooling effect. It's the stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment. It was launched by Harvard University scientists, and it aims examines the solution by spraying non-toxic calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere, a sun-reflecting aerosol that may offset the effects of global warming. So one last thing I want to point to from this article is that the risk of weather manipulation having horrible effects on the population is something that scientists have warned about. So it says that temperature decreases bring with them serious risks. Freezing temperatures in 1850 led to failed crops and near-famine conditions. British scientists have cited stratospheric aerosols from volcano eruptions in Alaska and Mexico as potential cause of drought in Africa's Sahel region. Major disruptions of the global climate could bring unintended consequences, negatively impacting highly populated regions and engineering another global refugee crisis. Now, listen, I don't know what reason these people are doing weather manipulation. Do I really believe that it's about cooling the earth? That's possible, but I also don't know enough that Bill Gates has more agendas than just trying to cool the earth. He has agendas that we've seen throughout, and we're talking in code right now, but throughout certain pandemics, throughout pushing certain solutions to those pandemics. And because of that, we can really see that Bill Gates has an agenda that aligns with what we would call the Georgia Guidestones, their mandate that you keep the population at a certain amount and don't go over that 500 million they say. I believe that absolutely, if Bill Gates is behind it, that there's a real sinister reason why this is happening. And I think there's more to it than they're telling us. And I do think that they're already doing these things actively. And I also think that the technology that we know of is nothing compared to the technology that they do have. But it's important for you to know there are so many explanations for crazy things that we see happening in the weather, mass weather climatic instances, things that are happening that affect so many people. Don't let the official narrative be the only means of you actually going out and believing something, but actually look into what's happening in the circles of people like scientists, what they're talking about. Look at what the people who are adverse to you are saying. Look at the possibilities as far as what has been done and what continues to be done. But most importantly, always look to Yah in prayer, because what he wants to reveal to you about this will be revealed. So that's all I have for this segment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I will see you all in the next video.
And the Bible's a book about race. It's so funny that they tell you don't deal with race, but the Bible is about race. The reason why they tell you don't deal with race is because there's a people hiding. They hiding throughout history, and they are the enemies of God. And so that's the reason why they are the ones over your education and over your movies and over your TVs and over all of your communication. And they got up above us and taught us. Basically, our enemies taught us. And that's why your enemy teaching you is a great weapon. It's a great weapon. If I can teach my enemy, then that's a great weapon for me, because I can teach him what I want him to know and not give him the correct information. You must understand that the powers that be, the elite powers, you could call it Illuminati. All y'all studied Illuminati. Y'all studied all of that stuff before. You could call it Illuminati or the Rothschild, the bloodline families, whatever you want to call it. But the powers that be understand that they are fighting against our God. They understand they're not atheists. They want you to think they're atheists, but they believe in our God. They just believe in Lucifer as their God. And so Lucifer is the one that has empowered them through hidden knowledge to gain the wealth of the nations. And so the wealth of the nations is given into the hands of a certain people. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And they're using that wealth to destroy the earth. That's what their job is, because the Bible says that Lucifer appears out of chaos. The New World Order comes out of chaos. So the people that he has empowered has to do enough wickedness and evil to bring destruction so he can come and take over a system that they broke. Now, through his prophecy, we're going to identify Esau today, because you need to know who he is. He says, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword thou shalt live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, which means you're going to get up above your brother at some point, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father is at hand, and I will slay my brother Jacob. Now God has released a prophecy over Esau. Y'all got what I'm saying? And he's telling you who his descendants are going to be. Y'all there? They only going to dwell in the good. Fatness means good, the best. They going to dwell in the best of the earth, right? And they gonna get what they get by war, sword, conquering. Y'all, come on, talk to me. So they gonna be warlike people that love the war, and they gonna live in the best places in everybody's nation. This is Esau. Matter of fact, I think it was last week, I think we was going somewhere and my mother said something like, why is the level of hate against black people the way it is? Why is so much hate? Well, this is why.